All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. I've been going through a series of presentation videos based on a body mass index program, and I'm up to number 5 of 8, which is on ASP.NET. And I was looking at the C# code for the previous one. For the input height and the input weight, I shouldn't have to worry about these. I still have to calculate the BMI, but I shouldn't need to worry about constants. So the only thing I grabbed out of here was this line, which is going to give me the number for the height. This line, which is going to give me the number for the weight. And then actually doing the BMI itself, and then setting the text accordingly. Now I'm hoping that's all I need. So in other words, my code goes down to something that is just this small, right here. Alright, so I'm going to grab all that, copy it to the clipboard, go back to my code window, try to, and throw that in there. Alright, that's not a problem. So this is the name text box. Height does not exist in the current context. And so that'll be, let's make this height. Let's make that weight. That'll fix all those errors. Whoops. Okay, so those errors are now gone. And this will now be text box. BMI dot text is going to be equal to that. Thought I had a text box BMI, but let's, oh, that's label BMI. Well, all of that is cleared out. So let's take a quick look. So let's save, run this. I'm more concerned now with not doing my error check, but to make sure that the program actually runs, gives me results that ideally are correct results. Alright, so if we come in here and we put in 72 for the height and 111 for the weight, I calculate, that looks good. If we put in 166, that looks good. If we put in 333, that looks good. Clear is now working. Well, that's good, and that's all being set. I should remove that so there's nothing there when I start. Now, I went back and looked to see if I was not getting the error for jQuery, the unobtrusive validation with jQuery. And the reason I believe I was not getting the error was because of the type of ASP.NET project that I created. It wasn't empty. So in other words, that had all been added already. The bottom line is this. Now this is very short. We've only gone 3 minutes, and I guess I maybe could have done this all in one presentation. But when we take a look over here, I want to highlight some of the stuff that I've put into this program. All right, you saw for the actual clear routine, it's virtually the same as the clear routine in C#. All right, so code that fires when clear button is clicked. So what are we doing? We are clearing our 2 text boxes, our associated label, and setting the focus to our first text box. Now, a couple more things, such as, first, when I come back to here, this where it says label, I'm going to remove it so we have no text there whatsoever. All right, that's okay. So that's the first thing. That'll clean that up a little bit when we start, okay? And then next, when we go back again to our CS file, so as we had code that fires when the clear button is clicked, to be complete, that's the code that fires when the calculate button is clicked. All right, right, so that's the number entered. I inputted in. I'm gonna just input for height, and the number input for the weight. Calculate the BMI. Put calculated BMI into BMI label. Okay, pretty simple. All right, so let's save one more time and let's go back and run it one more time. Make sure it, again, appears to be doing everything we want it to do. All right. I can already think of a possible problem in here, but we're going to see. You've already seen this, but so I'm going back to be complete here. So with nothing in here, I get my required messages. That's good. With out of range values, and actually, all right, must be numeric, etc. Okay, so it won't go anywhere. That's good. Out of range, again, same message. All right, and if I put in something that's in range, you'll notice that the error messages do go away. I calculate, I do get a BMI. My clear works. Now this is in the about page. That's kind of a silly place to put that. All right. So I might want to change that around. I'm not really concerned with that. My biggest concern was, could I quickly write an ASP.NET program that mirrored what it was we had been doing in earlier programs. What you hopefully saw by taking a look at this, all right, and I'm going to go back and stop the run, is if I go back to my ASPX file here and I go into source mode, all right, there's a lot of cleanup that we could do here. And you're not going to sit there, I'm going to do this one, but you're not going to watch me do this because that's a waste of your time. But doing this, now I can read what's going on in here. All right, which I like. May not mean that much to you, but I like it when everything's on its own line and I can see what's going on here. All right, so I could clean this up quite a bit. There's quite a few things that we could do here to make this look, at least, a lot nicer than it currently does. I could come in and I could add some CSS, again, to make this a little cleaner, a little crisper than it currently is. As I told you, though, that wasn't my concern. My concern was, could I come in here and put in something that would allow me to show you the basic, kind of a bare bones-ish type of program to create an ASP.NET, and also have it give you the same stuff that you had before, you know, in other words, make it be functional and make it do virtually the same stuff that was being done earlier with the C#, with the JavaScript, with the jQuery, etc. programs. So like I said, that was my goal here, and I guess you are watching me type all this in, even though I said you weren't going to. Now, every programmer has his or her own little quirks. This is mine. But the ways that you want to set things up. I know that I had people when I was coding professionally that would say, "Oh, I know you wrote that because I know how you style things." Well, that's okay. But notice now, to me, this is much cleaner. I can read everything with the required field validator, everything with a range validator, everything with the required field validator, everything with a range validator. All right, so again, what I had hoped to accomplish, all right, what I hoped to accomplish in this particular, or these two particular videos, I guess, was to go through there and write a very simplistic BMI program that used ASP.NET. All right, and I think that I have done that. I will say one last thing quickly, and that is that when I go on here and write the next program, which I'm going to do very shortly, I'm using something that I may or may not have time to go over in class. I am going to use a different product. Now I've changed all this. I want to run it one more time to make sure I didn't break anything. All right, I shouldn't have. The stuff I changed was just cosmetic. It will have no, it's internal cosmetic. This looks the same. Okay, boom. Let's try to put in a value that's too big. So 97. 778. So we got those. I don't like the must be numeric type of an idea, but I could have put another message in there. That's okay. Let's just change it again. We'll make this 66 and 222. They'll have a big BMI. There it is. The clear works good. All right, so in the next example that I go over with you, I'm going to use a package that's called, it's known as Android App Inventor 2. All right, I'm actually going to do this before, you know what, maybe I'll do the Java program next, and then I'll do the App Inventor. So I guess that makes more sense. So when I come back, you're going to see me write this program, yes, one more time, but I'm going to write it in Java. So I'll be back to do that very shortly.